Instead of having recruiters in your recruitment agency spend 2 to 3 hours every day writing job description and manually matching job description to your talent pool, why not have a system that does that for you so that you can relieve your recruiters of those 3 hours so that they can actually use that to build connections with candidates and clients as well, and also be able to use that to scale your business. Because here is the thing, running recruitment agency goes beyond admin work, and if your recruiters are spending time doing so much admin work, it will be much harder for your recruitment agencies to scale, and you will not be able to get more clients, right? So if they can reduce the amount of manual work that they are currently doing, I promise you that it will be much easier to scale your recruitment agency and get new candidates as well as new clients. So let's just get right in to see what the system would look like. So here's what that system would look like. I called it a recruitment coordinator. Of course, you can, the name is irrelevant. It's what it does that is, important. So what this system basically does is that it watches for whenever a client, send you a new message about what they are looking for. So I'm using email here, but if you have like a form on your website that you're currently using to, receive, for, clients to submit vacancies, then that's what you want to use. So it will watch for new form submissions there whenever, clients submit a new vacancy, sorry. Whenever clients submit a new vacancy, and it extracts all that details and create it in a database for us, because of course we need to have a job board data or a job database that is connected to our job board so that people can see. So now we are not going to be manually updating that job board again, because anytime clients submit a new vacancy, it automatically gets screened and then updated in our job board. And once we update that, we also go ahead and write the perfect job description for the job. Right? This is part one, and I'm going to be sticking to part one in this particular video. So the next one will be part two that actually goes in to match, the new job with, the candidates that we have in our, talent pool or database. Right? So let's just get in and then let's build this together step by step. So I'm going to be switching to a new, board here. So what I'm using here is make.com, but you can use, Zapier or whatever. The idea is still the same. So the tool is basically just what connects it, but the idea is still going to be the same. So the first thing that you need to do here is create a scenario here. And your first module, like you saw in mine, is the email module. But like I said, you can switch it for your form module, so it can watch for new form submissions. But I don't have a website and I don't have a form, so I'm going to be sticking to the email route. So just in case, you have, an email that clients can reach out to submit their job, their job listings, or to submit vacancies, that is the email you would want to watch for in this case. So we're going to do email here, and we're going to do watch emails. My connection already exists. If you don't have a connection and you're trying to watch for Gmail, or you're trying to, whatever connection you're trying to establish here, I think I have a video on it. Or if you have problems trying to, establish your own connection, you can let me know in the comment. Then I'll be able to maybe make a dedicated video about that. But my own connection already exists, and we're just going to stick with that here. So we go ahead and search for folder here. Folder is going to be inbox, of course. The criteria here is going to be all emails, so you are going to be watching for all emails, because like I said, you're going to have most times with the recruitment agencies that I've spoken to, if they're allowing clients to submit vacancies to them, it's always with like a dedicated email, like a jobs at the name of your agency.com. So that's where clients submit their vacancies or send their vacancies at email. So now you're going to be watching for all the emails in that particular inbox, right? So we really don't do anything here, but you can set the number of maximum items depending on how much vacancies clients submit to you in your business. This is really not a big deal. Whatever you want to set to still works. I'm just going to leave it at one, and I save this, and then I put all emails here, although I would want to start from a specific time. So I'm going to go in and test this, but let's just save this. So I'm going to go in and send an email to a sample email of what a client can send, so that we can use that to test the system when we are done. So the subject here is vacancy or something, and then we put in, and then this can be we can say hi, whoever is in charge or whatever. We are looking for a senior Java engineer, hybrid in London, £85, and then the salary is there. We are looking for £85, 50 and 5+ years, Java, Spring Boot, AWS, immediate starts. Thanks. that's very simple enough, and that's what typically you would send, because I don't think people have a lot of time to write a lot of things. So we'll just go ahead and send this. So now that has been sent, so we go back and try to test this by choosing when to start, and then we'll put this specific time, which is going to be what's today, 19. So we do 19, and then we say fees, and then we try to run it. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Yeah, so we have been able to get that email. So the next thing that we're going to do now is call OpenAI to extract details like the company name. The ideally we would have the company name in the the job description, or like we would say Jabra for the company name, right? That's how any company would ideally send to you, right? So we are going to extract the company name, we are going to extract the job title, we are going to extract skills that they need, and all those kind of things. So we are going to call OpenAI here, and we're going to generate a completion, and we are going to, my own connection already exists. If yours doesn't, just go to this ad, go to this billings page to be able to create your API key as well as your organization ID. So now I'm coming down my model. I like to do lower for test purposes, but when I'm setting it to run, I can go a little higher for a more or optimal answer or something. And the role here is going to be the developer. I'll just work with the prompt that I already have in this existing one, just so I don't spend so much time trying to draft a new one. So just copy that, and then I put that here, right? And then I'm saying this UI Recruitment Coordinator extracts the following from the email: the company name, the job title, the location, the salary, the employment type, the required skills, the years of experience, start date, visa requirements, remote, hybrid, everything. And then the email is going to come from here. So I'm going to do the text content here is what I'm going to do. So yeah, we go ahead and we save this, and we save this. So the next thing that we are going to do now is, of course, pass a JSON, because like you have seen, everything is going to come in one bundle, right? Everything in here. We are going to have the company name, the job title, the location, everything is going to be in one bundle as a JSON, right? So we need to, let me even add another bullet, let me say no markdowns, because sometimes if you tell it to return only the JSON, it's going to add something like here's the JSON or JSON column, and we don't need any of those things. We just need only the JSON itself. So I like to include no markdowns, no embraces, no words, just the JSON, just so you understand not to add anything to my JSON. And I'll save these. So I'll save these. So of course, I'm going to go ahead and run this with the existing data so that to extract everything that I need for me. So I'll run this, and then I'll run this. Okay. So you can see it has not seen the company name, because in my email there was no company name, right? So ideally, most of the times the companies, of course, will state the name of the company, right? Or it can be in their email, at whatever, right? Or it can be we are reaching out, because ideally, I don't think a company is going to send the shabby email that I sent. Is not possible. Like if they are trying to get you to, they are more professional than that. I'm just not keeping them to that. So ideally, most of the companies, they will say, oh, we are, mention the name of the company, we are looking to fill this position, here is what we need. So once, if we were to receive that kind of email, of course we'll be able to get the company name. So let's just stick with this, because I don't want to have to go back to write new email. Or maybe subsequently in our test, like final test, I can send a better email. So the next step is to add the module and pass a JSON. So we're going to call our JSON here, and then we're going to add here, and then my data structure can be, I already have one here, but I don't want to create too many, but I just want to show how it was created. This is recruitment coordinator. So I don't think I want to call that. So let's say coordinator, because I don't think yeah, I know the name is crazy, but I just want to be able to identify it so I can delete it after this. So I'll generate this and then I'll put this in here, and then you generate. So to generate all the JSON files for you, or all the JSON fields rather for you, and you just go ahead and save this, right? So the next thing is to add your result here as a JSON string. That's what it's going to use to put into all those fields that we have in our JSON. And we go ahead and we save this and we save this. Right. So the next thing that we are going to do is, of course, go into our database to create our job. So, of course, you have a database that shows that where all your jobs go in. You see all the jobs that company is currently hiring. Your company is currently hiring for the jobs that your company have placed and all of that. Because of course, as a recruitment agency, this is data for you. So you can be like, okay, we have had 20, or we have had 200 jobs, and we have been able to place candidates on maybe 180. So that's good data to have. And if you even have a job board, that's a more reason to have a job database, right? So this is what my own database looks like, and I don't think there is a recruitment agency that wouldn't have a job database, even if it's like an Excel sheet. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So this is what mine looks like, but yours can be a little different depending on how you're currently working. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that we are going to go in and create a job, in our jobs database. So you just stick to the fields that you currently have in your database, and make sure that the AI extracts the fields that you currently have in your database so that you can go in and create it, right? That's what is important. So we added a module here, and we are going to go ahead and add a use Airtable, because like you can see, my own database is an Airtable database, but depending on what you're using Excel, you are using, and there's so many databases in the market. So whatever you're using, Superbase, whatever you're using, still okay. So you just have to come here and create a record. So of course, my own connection already exists. If you're using Airtable, all you have to do is click add here, choose your connection type. If you want to add, if you want to create the connection through, Airtable token or key, you just go into your Airtable and get the token and put it. If you want to use Authent, just make sure, like mine, I'm already signed in this browser. So if I were to take, the Airtable Authent, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but yeah, it's like authentication, right? So if I was to take that, it's going to just redirect me to sign into my Airtable, and once I do that, the connection is established. So we'll just stick to what I have here. My base is called candidates database, as you can see here. My table, of course, is the jobs table. That's what I'm trying to create in. And then, of course, I go in and just map this out here, and then here, and then the location, of course, is going to come from here. And the employment type, I made this what's it called, a single select, which ideally I shouldn't have, because employment type is going to change depending on the what's it called, depending on the candidates, and we are not really going to be able to manually tag one. So the best thing to do is to go into our job database and change this. And this status, we can't change it, because once a job is created, it's just open, right? It has not been attended to yet. So what you are going to do is go to our job database and then change what's it called, yeah, this employment type, right? You can see here that is a single select. What we are going to change it to is going to be a single line statement. So we save this. That's why we can now have internship. Oh, change it to a number. No, I'm not supposed to do that. Uh, I'm supposed to change it to a single line text. And then I save this. Right. So now, is it? Yeah, you can see it's now like internship, right? So now we can go back here and refresh this, and it will pick up that updates for us. So in here, you see, so we can now put in directly from here, and then the salary, of course, we can put in here, and the required skills we can put in from here, the experience we can put in from here, and then the status here, will always be open because it's just being created. And the job description, we have not created that yet. We're going to come back and create it. The job board that I created for this demo does not have these other ones, but it's fine. I mean, you get, the main purpose of what this is about. So we don't have and of course, we don't have any candidates or that we are matching to this job yet. So we are going to leave those ones blank, and then we go ahead and we save these. So now remember that you have not written our job description. So the next thing that we are going to do now is, pull a module that is going to write that job description for us. So we add a module here, and then we are going to still use OpenAI. I like to use OpenAI, but you can switch it for Claude, you can switch it for Perplexity, whatever you prefer. Although I don't advise Perplexity, Claude could work, but OpenAI works better for me, so I just stick with OpenAI. So the model here, I'd like to go lower, so I would do 4 minutes, and then I'll add my first message, and the first one is going to be the developer message. Of course, I'll still copy it from here just to save time and not have to generate twice. But of course, make sure that you, as usual, always have a very good prompt. I always emphasize on this, right? I always emphasize on this. Always make sure that you have a good prompt. The better your prompt, the better your output, right? So here's my own prompt. You are a recruitment consultant. Using the extracted requirements, write a professional job description. Include the company overview, the responsibilities, the required skills, nice to have skills, benefits, salary, call to action, right? So of course I'm going to go in here and write, provide, now we don't have the company overview because we don't even have a company, remember, from the shabby email that we got. But of course, if we were to do, if the client was to send us, they would most likely send us, an overview of what they do in their company. Ideally, that's because, we don't know them, right? And they are just submitting a vacancy. So ideally, they would tell us what, maybe like a consulting firm or from a consulting firm or whatever, just so we have a mind map of what it's about before we even get in a meeting with them, right? And, they'll give us the intro, but then we'll go in and do like a detailed research about them, right? So you can also add that here. That would be a good thing to add, that, you can use Perplexity here after the first module to go in and search for the company and get as much details as, Perplexity can get. And then you can now put it into AI, into OpenAI, and OpenAI will now generate, the company overview and everything that you need. But since we didn't do that, let's just stick to this one. But that's another idea that you can create it like that. Like I always say, the automations that you create is to help you. It's not necessarily following step by step what another person did. It's basically to give you a mind map of what you can do and what is possible. So of course you are always allowed to tweak, my ideas, tweak, the things that I am saying. You can tweak it to fit perfectly into your own, system, of into your own business and the way your own recruitment agency is currently working. So I'm going to go in and put in, what I have here. I'm going to say, I think I'm just going to put what I have here, right? I don't think it's going to be a bother. So it already has, a lot of the details. So I'm just going to say requirement here. So yeah, it can still work with that. And I go ahead and save this. And of course I save this. The last step here is to go in and update our job record with that new, job description that we have gotten. So we are going to call our Airtable, of course, and then we are going to update a record because we already created it here. So what we want to do now is update it. So we're going to do our base as usual, and we're going to do our table to be jobs. And then the record ID, of course, is going to come from the record ID that was created when we, created the record, right? So just stick with that. And then what we are trying to get here now is going to be the job description, which will come from here, right? So we save this and we save this. So we can say return only the job description. So it doesn't say here is the job description, here is the perfect. We don't want any of that. We just want only the job description, no introductions, no nothing. So we say return only the job description. No intro, no titles. No, McDonald's. Okay, so now that we have that, we can save this, and I'm going to save. I don't know why it keeps being stupid. So we just saved this one last time, and we saved this. So now the system that extracts and creates our vacancies or our jobs in our job board is ready. So now what you're going to do now is go in and send a better email. This time I'm going to talk about a little bit about my company and what we are looking for. Right. So where is the message that I sent? I'm just going to tweak that one. I don't think I uploaded to work that, so I'm just going to put here. Hi James. Um, Joe from ABC, or let's just call, and what are we going to call it? Vera Consulting. Consulting. We are a consulting firm focused in what? Self development. I don't even know what that means, but you get the drift. Located in London. So we'll say hi. I'm Joe from Vera Consulting. We are a consulting firm focused in self-development located in London. We are looking for a senior Java engineer, hybrid in London, 85,000 pounds, and then 5+ years, Spring Boot, immediate start. Thanks. That works, right? So we now call this vacancy again, and then we put a recipient email, and then we go ahead and we send this. So I'll go back into my and choose when to start. So I would do 7 and then I'll save. So I'll go ahead and run this to see. Oh, so what is the invalid parameter here? Okay, that is the problem. So experience is supposed to be number. That is one of the problem, I guess. So let's do number, not for number, but number. Where is it? Yeah, so number here. That's how we're able to get 5+, and then what else? So let's run it again and see if this would be better. So let's run it with nope. Let's run it with this, and then we run it one time and see what we get. What is still missing? Invalid number. I still changed it somehow too. Still didn't change that. That's why I am still having a problem. So yeah, I think this should work now. So let's try to get that again up. Let's run this one more time. Okay, yeah, so it has gone through now. And then it's currently creating our job description for us. Okay, so let's go into our database and see what we have now. So somebody tell me why the company name didn't generate, and as well as the so this is the problem. It went down and generated a new completely new thing. Okay, you know what? I don't know why it does this most times, especially if you run the same data twice. Most times it generates it as, you can see this one capital letter and comes to generate this one as lowercase. That's why it's not advisable to run the exact same content or exact same, numbers or the exact same thing through a JSON twice. I kept running it. That's why it switched this up, and that's why you couldn't see it. But you know what we're going to do? Let's pick both of them. At least one of them is going to work, right? So salary, let's just add the salary. Required skill, we'll do, required skill up here, and we'll do required skill down here. And then experience, I don't know why I deleted that. I should have just left it. We'll do this one, and then we'll do this one, right? So now we are going to be able to get these. And then job title, we also do job title, right? Company name, we also do company name. So you see where everything came to. So yeah, that's the problem. So we save this and we save this, right? I will just delete this one so I can create a new one. So we delete record here, and then I go in here and I run it again. So hopefully it doesn't throw up an error. So let's see. Yeah, I knew. Wrong format for what? Okay, so I cannot enter plus there. So let's see what even allows me to enter a plus. So let's rework this again. And now let us try to run it again. So hopefully it doesn't see a threat. Let's see, because I'm trying to get the plus, right? So if you do, that's a problem. So if I do like numbers, I do not get, the so because I cannot have so because if I have like a number field here, I can't add plus, and if I have like a single text field, I will not still be able to work with this. I have two options to either remove and just to remove the plus behind the this thing what is this, just the year, and remove the other words, remove the plus included in it. For this is just like an Airtable thing. If you're not using Airtable, I don't think you would have this issue. So we save this and we save this. I have updated these to number. So if I try to run this again with the new update that I've made, it should work perfectly. Let's see. Again, I hope this thing did not return a 5 plus again. Yeah, it returned 5. So now the problem is that it doesn't have what's it called. So this one should work now. So let's run it again. Why? So what seems to be the problem then? Couldn't convert the value in salary field on this module. The mapped data. So this problem is the salary field now. So what do we have here as salary? So our salary is currently in dollars, right? Let's just make it a single line text. And let's make this a single line text as well. And then we save this. We confirm change. And then we can go back now and run this one more time. So we save this and then we save this. So let's run it again. Let's see what you're going to get. Hopefully it doesn't throw up an error now. What should it now? The mapped data from position looks like text, but Airtable needs a number. Why does it need a number? Oh, couldn't convert the value. Okay, we'll save this and we'll try to run it again. Okay, that's gone through now. So it's currently generating our job description. Okay, so let's go and find it now. You can see it here. So it has created the company name, the Vera Consulting. Why did it pick Vera Consulting to be the location? And then you can see here the job description has been written, right? So you can see here. This is beautiful, right? So the only thing that it did wrong was the location, because that should be a prompt issue. That's why I usually say make sure that your prompt is good. So location here is job location London, wherever is stated in the email. So you can save this and you can save this. Okay, let's just be extra and try to run it again so we can correct that error. So it's currently generating for us. Okay, it's currently generating the job description for us. Okay, so if we come here now, so let's update it to something like this, because like I always say, make sure that your like I always say, make sure that your prompt is fail proof, so that you will not run into errors like the one that I have here, because the only reason why I have it here is the prompt. The prompt is the problem. So let's try to run it again and see if stop running. So let's run it again. Okay, let's go now and see what we have here. It created a completely new set again. So did I stop it? So let's run with existing data and see what we're going to get this time around. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I am the problem. I can see that I am the problem. So I kept on saying that the location is the reason why we have this issue is because I put the location to be company name. So yeah, here's the location. So that's why we have this, because I thought it was a prompt issue, but now looking at my mapping, I am the problem. So always make sure you test your system. You don't make the kind of error that I just made, because it's going to cost your system. It's going to cost you a lot of problems. So make sure you check, double check, test it, test away from your company database. Just have like a demo database like what I have. Test it, be sure it works before you deploy it into your company, right? So now we have that. If I run this one time, I'm sure it's going to be correct now. So I really did not need this. I was the problem. So I will save this and I will save this. So if I run this one last time with the errors fixed, I am sure that I would have that problem anymore. Okay. Okay. So if I come here, problem, reason being I added job location, and what the JSON that I was working with initially was location. As you can see here, location. So job location and location is not the same thing. So now it has gotten job location, living location. So either one that works, let's just add this. But I think now that I've removed location, I've removed the job from location, it might just do location for us. So let's just see. Just make sure that you do a better job. You don't do the kind of errors I'm doing now, because they're like errors that shouldn't be happening, but somehow it's happening because I'm clumsy. Okay. Okay, so let's go in now. You can see this has been settled now. So the employment type we didn't put in there, although we had seen, okay, not specified is what we were working with. And then, immediate start, we said requirement not specified, remote or hybrid. So yeah, this is it. So you can see how many times it had to take us to debug, correct before we got this. Right, so make sure that you spend your time debugging, make sure testing every possible case scenarios to be sure that your system is fail proof before you integrate it into your recruitment agency. I really hope you found this useful. If you did, give this video a like and a thumbs up. And if you run a recruitment agency and you want to cut down on the operational work that is currently going on, then you can book a strategy call with me. The link is going to be in the description, because we need to talk. Right, so this is part one. I'm going to be posting part two tomorrow, so you might want to subscribe to this channel so that you get notified once the part two of this video comes up. And before you say, what's part two going to be doing? Part two is where the actual juicy things are being done. Part two is where the actual work is being done, because part two, we are going to match the candidate to this job that we just created automatically. So I'll see you tomorrow.